Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, The Elegant Digital Workspace, a Game Changer in IT and Employee Satisfaction. My name is Darlene Jaramillo, and I will be your host for today's presentation. Our featured speakers for today are Matt Crawford, Director of Workspace Product Marketing at Citrix, and Radul Rabchak, Director of Product Management, Citrix Workspace Micro App Platforms. Before we get started, let me cover a couple of housekeeping details. We will have a dedicated question and answer section at the end of today's presentation and invite you to submit your questions at any time during the presentation using the Ask a Question window in the webinar interface. Also, this event is being recorded and a link to the on-demand version will be sent to everyone in a follow-up email. With that, I will now hand it over to Matt to start the presentation. Welcome and thank you for joining us.
Hi everyone, Matt Crawford here, and thanks Darlene. Really excited today to talk to you guys about the elegant digital workspace and really have a discussion about employee experience. It's really top of mind with a lot of people these days, and we're going to dive deep into not only why it's so important, but how you can maximize employee experience, obviously using some of the products that we've recently launched. So, as far as our agenda today, I'll talk about the challenges for employee experience. What's the problem? And then I'll outline the Citrix approach in terms of how we solve that. And Radha's going to take you through a couple of demos around the end-user experience of what that really looks like, and also the back end and how IT can really develop and curate this great experience. And afterwards, as Darlene mentioned, we'll have a little Q&A and discussion. So let's jump right in. First, what is employee experience? And it's interesting because this buzzword has been around for a long time, and lots of people have been engaged. So from HR departments, even the C-level, have been concerned with employee experience. And oftentimes it's, the behavior, the culture at work, of course, the process and things that happen in work, the environment. And for a long time, people thought in order to improve employee experience, yeah, sure, you have great things in the, ping pong in the break room and great snacks. And yeah, that's all a part of it. But increasingly, it's about IT tools as well. And what we realize is that the employee experience is about the day-to-day reality of work. And the reality of work for people includes IT. You can't leave IT tools out of the equation if you want to improve the employee experience. And so we see a real uptick in interest in that. In fact, this is a stat, by the way, from some new research that we conducted with Dow Jones Intelligence around employee experience. And we found that 74% of companies are now placing a high priority on technology to improve that employee experience. And there's some great reasons why. And I'm going to give a little poll question. You don't have to actually physically submit this, but think about this. What would you answer here? What percent of workers said workplace tech is an influence on deciding to accept a job offer? And so this is why it's so important. We're looking at talent acquisition, talent attraction and retention. Employee experience and the technology that they receive is a big part of that. And we see 71% of workers said it's a key influence. And so when there's a war for talent, we know from the C-level on down that people are interested in improving the technology to improve employee experience. But why is this such a challenge? What's really limiting employee experience today? Here's some stats for you that we've pulled. I won't hit all of them, but you can check them out on your screen. But employees spend about 20% of their time just searching for information. And they really want to be creative, but a lot of times they don't have that flexibility within their work schedule to be creative. So they'd like the flexibility to work in some different locations at different times. And then that last bullet is actually really important. For 80% of all business applications, employees just use 4 or 5 key functions. And that's very important in terms of why we thought about how we design the workspace, the Citrix workspace. So that's some stats on what's limiting it. And the reality is when customers or consumers are in there, they see all these great applications and devices, right? And employees at the end of the day are consumers. And so in their consumer life, they have all these modern, delightful consumer experiences. And then all too often, it's just an unfortunate fact that when they get to work, they're faced with these cumbersome employee experiences. And there's some reasons why that has happened. At the end of the day, there's been a lot of investment in IT, but oftentimes those investments don't meet the expectations. There's too many apps out there, and I know that in many of you, depending on your size of your company, you're probably managing 200, 300 apps or even more. And then there's complexity around those applications and just how to get to places, how to get to stuff. And then when it comes to the daily work environment, there's interruptions, too many of them, and they just want to get their work done. And so as a result of too many applications, there's too little usage. So you purchase all of these applications, and you see you try to see the benefit of these, but there's actually only a little bit of usage of these applications, and you want people to use them more. And as a result of too much complexity in trying to find these things, there's too much searching for information. And as a result of too many interruptions, there's just too little focus, and the employees are not as productive, and at the end of the day, they're not as engaged in doing their best work. What's happened is these applications experiences are really failing in employees. If you look at on the left side, you've got a typical intranet with just a long list of applications. You might have an app launcher type of thing where it's a separate location and people go just to get apps, but that's all they get, and so they have to go back in different places to get different kinds of applications. And then this results in this fragmented user experience, right? Applications launch from different places, the experience being cumbersome, and then when I get to an application, I have to navigate 5 or 6 screens just to do a simple task. Our approach is very different, and what we've taken on board is we want to make enterprise software easy. And this is a great example to illustrate that point. We've all had this experience of a copier, right? And you see it's a very typical copier. It's a lot of buttons on that copier. And if you realize all those buttons, they can make, collated, double-sided, stapled copies, all kinds of great features and functionalities. But at the end of the day, that's really just for that 1%, those power users. And copier companies are smart. They've designed a one big green button, easy button experience for the 99% of users. What do most of you and I do when we go to a copy machine? We just want to make a copy. We put the paper down, we press the green button, and we're done. And it's very easy and intuitive. I'll make 2 points here. One is that, by the way, this is not a knock on copier companies. They're doing their jobs. If you were a copier company and you shipped this big copier and all it had was one big button on it, I think you'd be out of business, right? You have to design those power features for the power users. At the same time, you need to abstract the complexity for the users that just need 1 or 2 functions. And then the second point I will make is you could use the analogy here. This copier is like an enterprise application. How many times do we have applications that have all these great features and functions, and they were probably meant for a specific line of business, but a lot of people in that company need to use just one element of that application. But right now, there's no easy button. But that's what we're providing with Citrix Workspace. We're providing that way to organize, guide, and automate work. Organizing things in such a way that all of your applications, all of your files are in one place. But not only that, guiding work and removing complexity with things called micro apps, which we're going to show you in just a second, that actually guide work and make it easy. That's the easy button in that copier example, where you can abstract away the complexity of an application and just expose a basic task. And the power of that is that could be in any application through the way that we've built this technology. So as an IT person, you're not going app by app and designing these individual experiences. We've created a platform that enables any application, Concur, Workday, ServiceNow, on and on and on, to have that great experience. And so when you do that, you have better business outcomes because people aren't searching for stuff. And you have increased employee engagement because now you have this modern, great interface that people actually enjoy using and talk to other people about how this place provides a great employee experience, the place that I'm working at. So with that, I think it's a good time to go ahead. I'm going to hand it over to Rado to talk about and actually show you what this looks like instead of just me talking about it. So Rado, you can take it from there.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, cool. Can you see the screen? So as Matt was talking about the way how we want to bring this experience to the end users in order to organize, guide, and automate their work. So let me walk you through the end user experience first so you have a better sense of what we will provide or what we can provide to the end users in order to help them to make their lives easier. So what you are looking at right now and what you are seeing is Citrix Workspace Web UI, which will be possible to consume and use not only in a web browser, but also throughout the native desktop app on your Mac or Windows screen, as well as on your mobile device, either Android or Apple or iOS device. So as we're looking at the screen is divided in kind of 3 sections. On the left-hand side, we have this menu that will help us to navigate across different sections. So it will allow us to see the actions available for us, the apps, the traditional web SaaS apps that are part of Citrix Cloud offering, virtual apps and desktops, and Citrix files. In a center section, you can see the activity feed. The activity feed you can easily imagine as LinkedIn or Facebook feed that provides users the either informational notifications, so saying that there is a new teammate in a team like this, or actionable notifications. So the users can act on those notifications straight away on a card. So for example, I see new expense report here. I have all the details I need to make a decision if I want to approve or send it back on a card. So I can make a decision straight away on a card by hitting this approve or send back button. But imagine the situation, you need some more details in order to be able to make a decision, approve or reject that expense report. So I hit a card, a blade loads on the right hand side, and in a blade I can see more details. So I can easily see what that expense report, what items it contains. So I can review them. I'm happy with what I can see. I'm happy with the prices, so I can make a decision and approve it easily. And as you can see, the cart disappears from my feed, and I took that action. So imagine if you, as a manager, would want to approve your team member expense report, you would have to go to Concur and do it there. But then imagine you want to do something else. You want to submit your PTO request. So, okay, I can click on Actions. I can hit this Request PTO button, and instead of going to Workday, I can initiate that action straight away from a workspace. So I have some dates, so I can set a date. I can type in for my manager and submit, easy like that. So what MicroApp or Citrix Workspace and specifically MicroApp service does, it calls Workday and sends the data in a context of a user. So it basically mimics the action as it would be done straight away in a Workday. And it prevents a context switching. I don't have to go throughout many different applications. I can easily do what I need from within the workspace. Now I want to launch my web app. So I hit this apps menu item. I want to launch my Excel Online. I click this icon and okay, it downloads. So it downloads the launcher and I can easily log in and access my Excel. So, or I can launch the Excel Online, which opens a new tab for me in my web browser and launches my Excel Online. So I don't have to go away from my workspace. Okay, so you can see my Excel being launched. Okay, so not only this, I can also sort the feed based on recent actions or notifications or recommended. Recommended means we calculate relevancy score behind the scenes based on our machine learning technology, capturing the interactions with the feed and with the notifications in a feed and calculating the relevant course, so providing a way for users to see what's most relevant to them. Similarly, I can launch the desktop, or I can access my files, my Citrix files. So basically, this is it from the end user experience, and I'll hand over to Matt, and later I will show you how you can configure and build that.
Okay, thanks, Rado. I appreciate that. And hopefully you guys had a good chance to see the end user experience there. With really any device, a unified experience, as Rado mentioned. So everything is in one place, all your apps, right? Either it could be virtual, SaaS, whatever kind of application, all in one place. And also all the content, all your files, whether they're in OneDrive, SharePoint, shared drives, wherever they are via our content collaboration, that's a part of that experience as well. You add the intelligence with the notifications and the micro apps, and you really have this great employee experience. I'll just dive a little bit deeper into some of these features and talk about what's actually out right now, readily available in all three Citrix Cloud regions. So those features with the intelligent feed, that actions pane, the micro apps, those are all readily available right now. And I'll talk a little bit more about the micro app builder in a second. But I wanted to mention the system of record integrations. You see that list, right? That's the current list of out-of-the-box integrations. And some of you may be thinking, well, you know, my users don't have challenges with PTO or service requests or Salesforce or Dynamics or anything like that. First of all, I would question that, and I think you might want to definitely take a look and talk to the different user groups and lines of business. But also, if you have any kind of application with our micro app builder, you can take advantage of that. Now, in terms of the part of the demo is like virtual assistants, being able to have a natural language search, that's in tech preview. And then we'll also talk a little bit about integration with Teams. We have a great integration with Microsoft Teams where you can send things to Microsoft Teams to start conversations, or actually that virtual assistant bot will be in Microsoft Teams as well, and that's in tech preview. And then you can enable this micro app service, not just for the SaaS apps. If you'll notice, those systems of record on the right side are all SaaS applications, but any application, including on-prem apps with an API connector, and that's in tech preview and coming very soon. So here's the idea, though. You have all these great out-of-the-box micro apps for these most widely used apps, the most common tasks within those apps, and we've built these connectors out of the box for that. That being said, we have the ability to create micro apps for any application, and that's the real power behind this. Like I said, those common use cases, those common applications are great. It makes it very easy out of the box, but there's probably something in the back of your mind, hopefully, hey, this would be great if we had this one application that had a connector. I could save so much time and make people's lives so much easier with quick micro app actions to that. How can I build it? And the reality is we have a micro app builder that just is a no-code drag and drop tool. There's templates in there for the common tasks and applications, but it's really easy to design your company's, per your company's rules and workflows and actually connect to even other applications. So to have a look at that micro app builder, I'm going to toss it back to Rado and to take us through a little bit of a demo of the micro app builder.
So now let me walk you through the micro apps admin or developer's experience. Let me show you how easy is it to add new integrations, how easy is it to configure it, how easy it is to customize it eventually if you need. So let me start with this nice landing page, which provides you the basic information about the steps necessary in order to do that. So add the integration, assign micro apps, and customize them. So let's get started. Here is Get Started button, and it brings me to this page. I don't have any integrations added so far, so let me add a new one for you. As you can see, we're providing a bunch of turnkey integrations and part of the integrations, or the integrations are being bundled with a set of predefined turnkey micro apps that you can use straight away. You can eventually customize them if needed. So imagine your organization is using Salesforce and you want to provide a way for your salespeople to create opportunities to simply do that from within a workspace, either mobile or desktop or web UI, so they don't have to context switch to Salesforce, but they can easily do that from within workspace. So let me add one for you. So I know that I need username, password, and eventually a bunch of other parameters. So each integration is coming or requires a different set of parameters to be filled in. It really depends on the system, and it changes system by system. Okay, so I know I need a username and password, so I have those saved, so I don't have to retype. I know I need to enable the sandbox toggle. Okay, and that's it. It's easy like that. So what I just did, I typed in a service account credentials, and we're using service account for pulling out the data from system of record. But be aware of important difference here, that for pulling out the data, we're using service accounts, but for writing the data back, so for updating records, creating records in system of records, we're using end user context. So imagine I'm a John Doe and I'm using a workspace UI, and there is some Joe Schmo, a service account. But if I'm creating a new opportunity from within a workspace as a John Doe, that opportunity will be created as John or on behalf of John Doe. So it's pretty clear who has created the record, who has changed the record in a system of record, right? So let me hit this add button. What's happening behind the scenes is we're creating a data schema. We're creating a data schema for the data to be cached. So why do we cache the data? We cache the data especially for the reason that not all of the system of records provide a push notification. So if we want to identify changes in a data, we compare the snapshots of data and identify the changes, and based on those changes, we can trigger notification events for the users. So it may take a couple of seconds or a minute or two to create a data schema. For example, Salesforce, or from within Salesforce, we're pulling out over 1,000 of different entities. So it's quite a big number. So it takes some time. And as you can see, it's coming with the different or variety of the entities that we are pulling out from Salesforce. But we don't need all of them to be cached, right? So it's coming from, or it's coming with 5 out of more than 1,000 entities pre-selected. I can like limit the scope of the data being pulled out from the source system even more. So I can set filters. I can set filters to limit the amount of data that are being pulled out from the source system. For example, if I don't want to pull out all history of opportunities, I can limit that for, let's say, last 30 days or last 7 days, whatever I need. So I hit this Save and Start Synchronization button. What's happening behind the scenes is that a synchronization process is being triggered. So we're pulling out the data from Salesforce, from the Salesforce instance we are using, and storing them into the data cache. So as you can see here, the Salesforce integration is coming with a whole bunch of micro apps that are available for us. Now, imagine you want to provide create opportunity, or you want to provide a way for your salespeople to create opportunities from within Workspace. So here is my micro app that is available for me. Now, I want this micro app to subscribe to a specific users or group of users in order for them to be able to use them. So I will show you the workspace, the end user experience. So we can see there is no create opportunity microapp available. Oops. So, okay, let me do it again. Okay. So now my workspace UI is being loaded, and there is no action available to me. Now I want to add subscriber to this create opportunity microapp. So let me search for one. So my workspace instance is connected to Azure Active Directory. So I search within this Azure Active Directory. I know there is a user that I want to subscribe him to this microapp. So I hit this. But I may also need or want to subscribe a group of users to the microapp. So I know there is a group that is available for me. So I can search it, and you can see there was one group found. So I can also assign a group of users to the microapp. Right, so while this is being added, okay, so we have a group subscribed. Now let me log out and log in again to show you that the microapp was added. Okay, sometimes it may take a couple of seconds or minutes for this information to be propagated. So let me log out again, and in the meantime, let me show you how we can easily customize the microapp, right? So we have this create opportunity microapp. Microapps can consist of notifications or pages. Notifications you can imagine as a set of business rules. So once they're met, the notification is being triggered for the end user, and notification card is being generated for the end user. And as well, microapps consist of pages. So as you can see, a part of create opportunity microapp, we have this create opportunity page, which is of type form. And let's look at it. So I click this, and it brings me to this page editor. A page editor is a simple page and form editor. It's easy to understand, drag and drop, and no code. So it doesn't require to write any code. And it's being divided into 3 sections. On the left-hand side, you can see this set of components that are available for you. In the middle section, you can see instant preview of what you're building. And then on your right-hand side, you can see parameters or details of a component that you are working with, right? So imagine it's coming out of the box with a name here. So I want to change it to opportunity name. I retype it here, and it changes immediately here. Okay, so let me check again. Okay, so my workspace is being loaded, and here we go. So create opportunity is available for me. Let's click it, and you can see the form is here. I've changed amount to opportunity name, and it displays immediately here. So let's try to do something different. So let's add a new input field, let's say. So I can add some other optional input field here, asking for some, let's say, additional details. Okay, so as you can see, it changes immediately here as I change the label of this input field. Let me relaunch that microapp here, and as you can see, it appears immediately here. So it's pretty instant. Now you may ask yourself, like, okay, how I'm gonna integrate with my legacy on-prem system that doesn't have a RESTful APIs and is on-prem? So yes, that's a really good question. I mean, as I already mentioned, we're building an extensible platform. So we're thinking about how we can provide capabilities for our partners and customers to integrate with those systems. So we have created so-called generic HTTP integration, which allows you to integrate with the systems that have RESTful APIs. If the system doesn't have RESTful APIs, you could work with your partners. They can write API wrappers to those systems so you can integrate with them. This is the type of integration I'm talking about. So it's a little bit more complex to configure, but it's still no code experience. It just requires a little bit more of understanding of the source system APIs, how the API calls should be configured. But on the other hand, it's a little bit more flexible and powerful, so it enables you to create a configuration, to create integration on your own. So that's pretty much it, and I'm handing over back to Matt.
Okay, thanks, Rado. Appreciate that demo. That was a great look behind the scenes at how the micro app builder comes together. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to talk a little bit about really why we call this an elegant solution. That was in the title of the webinar, right? And there's a couple of different perspectives you could be coming from. One, I want you to notice if you're a new customer to Citrix or not really, having a lot of Citrix technology in your environment as an IT professional, you should recognize that all the things we've talked about actually don't require virtualization at all. And I think a lot of times that's a new thing for people when they think of Citrix. We're synonymous with application virtualization in many cases. But it's important to know that this doesn't require virtualization at all. Now, if you're an existing customer and you already have an extensive Citrix environment with apps and desktops and other things, it's an elegant solution because it integrates seamlessly with your existing environment. If you noticed when we were going through that end user demo, they had virtual apps right alongside SaaS applications, all kinds of files coming from different locations. And by the way, all the security protocols that you come to expect, we've been talking about intelligence today, but it's just good to know that all the security enhancements that come along with the Citrix environment are a great addition to this. That also makes it an elegant experience. And so if you're, I know that there's a lot of folks on the call today coming from different perspectives. And so if you're an executive, or maybe you're an IT leader, or even if you're, just an admin, like you've gotten a Citrix administrator, it's actually very elegant for you as well, because you realize that this is not the heavy lift of adding yet another system and deal with this employee experience initiative. And so it's really two ways this is going to go. It's such a pervasive concept. You can have employee experience initiatives that are part of the company that are getting asked of IT, and it's sort of this bolt-on solution that actually adds complexity. Or you can support an employee experience initiative with your existing technology stack and add this intelligence with the micro apps and the notifications to really enrich that experience. But at the same time, you're building on your stack from a device management standpoint, with endpoint management, content, secure access, and, by the way, networking as well is a part of the equation for that great end user experience. So that all comes together for an elegant solution and really a complete platform for work. And so with that, I think we'll wrap up the prepared remarks. And Darlene, let's see if any questions have come in.
Thank you so much, Matt. Now, as we move into the Q&A, I would like to remind our audience that if you have a question, please submit it in the Ask a Question area on your screen. Simply type your question into the text box and then hit Submit. So our first question is, what's the roadmap for Citrix micro app templates?
Okay, I'll take a stab first, and then Rado, you can chime in.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we get questions on this. We saw those about a dozen to 15 or so initial systems of record that are live right now, and over time we're going to add to that, right? And so based on popular demand. And so if you're interested in a particular Citrix of record, system of record, I encourage you to contact your Citrix sales professional or partner and inquire about that. And then that actually adds to our list, and then our we start to add those integrations. And so that being said, it's actually really easy to add other integrations as well. So, we're never going to get to the point where we have every application out there, right? That's just not feasible. So that's why it was built with this platform of being able to build micro apps. So I don't know, Rado, if you want to kind of expand on that a little bit.
Oh, yeah. If I may, I'd like to add a couple of more things to that. So, as Matt has said, or as I have said during my demo, we're going to provide a bunch of turnkey, out-of-the-box integrations and micro apps. But we will not be able to scale the way to build the integrations for all the systems you are using. So many of the customers are using on-prem systems we are not even aware of. So this is the reason why we are building the extensible platform. What does it mean? That means that we want to provide a way for our customers and partners to expand on what we built, right? So it's going to be a platform where the partners can build the solutions for our customers, or customers can build themselves the solutions for them. So, for example, as I was showing to you this HTTP integration, it's one of the ways to integrate your system if you need. So as soon as that system has RESTful APIs, you can easily configure that HTTP integration in order to plug in that system to Citrix Workspace. But not only that, so we also know that not all of the systems are you need to integrate with are modern and have RESTful APIs. So also partners, or we will enable our partners to build API wrappers on the top of the systems that don't have RESTful APIs. So they will be able to build solutions for you and integrate with those systems into the Citrix Workspace. So rather than talking about the roadmap of integrations itself, I'd like to, or this is why I'm talking about the extensible platform we are building, because we believe it's much more powerful than building a bunch of out-of-the-box micro apps and integrations, which will never fit the purpose for each and every customer.
Yep, that makes sense. Oh, okay, next one, Darlene.
Yeah, we have another question here. It's how is this different from Microsoft Teams?
Okay. Yeah, I'll start with that one again. And I did allude, I think, on the list of applications and the features that are coming out, I did allude to our integration. I'll start with that. So absolutely, we integrate with Microsoft Teams. I think there's this misconception that it's a competitive scenario, but it's really apples and oranges. And the way I like to think of it, Teams, it's actually right there in the title, right? It's around team collaboration. So Citrix Workspace is not where you have communication functions or chat or things like that, or the concept of channels where you're talking to groups of people. It's really about individual productivity. But then we integrate with Teams with that individual productivity where it makes sense. And so if you want to kick off a conversation in Teams from within Citrix Workspace, absolutely, that makes complete sense. And so we do work together, and again, if you're a Citrix customer, you know full well that over the years there's always been situations where there's a great collaboration between Microsoft and Citrix, and this is no different. So, Rado, I don't know if you want to expand a little bit on that idea around Teams.
Oh yeah, I have a couple of more thoughts or additions to that. So, as Matt has said, I mean, we're not competing with Microsoft Teams. We're trying to build a synergy. So we're trying to build an addition to Teams, and Workspace is an addition to Teams, as well as Teams are addition to the Workspace. So it may sound a little bit cumbersome. So let me explain that. How we envision that. So imagine you get interesting notification in your feed about a new deal that your sales team has won, right? And you want to celebrate it and share with the broader team. So we can easily share that notification with the team within Microsoft Teams. So we can easily build or start that conversation and share that content to the teams. So that's one way. So that's how the Teams is an addition to Citrix Workspace. If we flip it around, So imagine you want to spend most of the day in Microsoft Teams because it's your application or it's your collaboration tool of choice. And it's plugged into Citrix Workspace. So in Citrix Workspace, there is a bunch of data that are being cached from source system, and you want to, for example, ask Microsoft Teams who is, I don't know, Rado, right? So you can invoke within within Microsoft Teams, you can invoke the bot, which is basically Citrix Virtual Assistant. Type in the question. Citrix Virtual Assistant bot in Microsoft Teams will connect to Citrix Workspace, search in cache data, and provide you an answer. So that is the way how we see the addition of Citrix Workspace by the teams and the other way around. Also, there is many times the question arises, like, hold on, but Microsoft Teams also provide a bunch of integrations to the third-party systems. Yes, that is right, but we are approaching it a little bit different way. So the way how Microsoft Teams integrates with the third-party systems is first it integrates with SaaS systems, and second is that Microsoft Teams rely on event consumption from those systems. So as soon as those systems can provide some notifications to the teams, it can work. But imagine a scenario when you want to integrate with your legacy on-prem system, which doesn't provide push notifications to Microsoft Teams. So this is where Citrix Workspace comes to place and provides you the ability to integrate with such system and let your users work with the data from that system from within Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, that's a great point, Rado. That user-initiated actions are a great point of it. Yes, there's notifications, but you also have to think of the user side of things and those user-initiated actions. If they want to open a service ticket or request PTO or sign up for a learning management course or something like that, they can just initiate those actions within Workspace. That's very different.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So I think that's it's a good discussion there. Any more questions, Darlene?
We have one more question. On average, how many micro apps would you expect IT to manage?
Okay. Yeah, I get this question a lot, and I think people, I think at the top of the presentation, I said, oh yeah, I'm managing, 200, 300 applications, and now I got to manage 300 micro apps too. Well, I mean, that's not really the case. In our experience, when we talk about these workflows that are really critical, that can really add value and make people happier and more engaged and improve their experience, we're not talking about workflows for 300 applications. It's that old, 80-20 rule. You can really accomplish a lot with, a small percentage of the applications that people need to get work done. And then, the integrations within those. So, we're not talking about hundreds and hundreds. But, not only that, well, people think of management of, real, physical full applications. They think of a heavy duty lift. But Rado, I think they're probably mistaken on that. It's actually pretty simple to manage micro apps, right?
Yes, exactly. If it comes to a turnkey micro apps, they will come to a place. So as I was showing to you, you just need to type in the URL and the credentials to the system of record, and turnkey integrations will come with a bunch of predefined turnkey micro apps. Of course, there will be cases when you need to customize them, but as you could see in my demo, it's fairly simple. It's just drag and drop. It's no code experience, so it's fairly simple to customize them. Also, the part of the management of those micro apps is subscribing them to the end users or groups of the end users. But it's again, it's easy. It's just simple button in the menu. It doesn't require as much work and as much complexity as for management of full-blown, heavy lifted apps in your organizations.
Yeah, and I think that's, when that comment I made about Citrix Cloud Console, everything is in one place. And so you're managing everything from there anyway. And so it just makes it, again, an elegant solution.
Exactly.
Yep. So, Darlene, I don't know how we're doing on time.
Okay, no, that brings us to the end of our presentation. I'd like to thank Matt and Radu for a very informative presentation, and also thank our audience for joining us. A quick reminder, you can check out and register for upcoming webinars and events by going to citrix.com/events. We hope you have a great day.